Well, how about we go through and see who's here, just to start off.
Okay.
I can see Brittany on my screen, and I can see Jeannie. So I know you're both there. We just heard Kayvon. Alderman Pinchuk, I believe I've seen you. You're here. Cindy's here.
Yes.
What about Randy? Are you here, Randy?
Nope.
Okay. David Freeman, are you here?
I'm on.
Okay, you're on the phone.
Yeah.
All right. And then
Yes.
what about Lily Scott?
I'm here.
Okay. It sounds like we have everyone except for Randy Armstrong. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Town of Farragut's Visual Resources Review Board meeting for April 28th, 2020. And this is the first time we are participating in this meeting virtually, to my knowledge at least. So we're going to do our best to go through tonight. And I'm sure there'll be some stumbles along the way, but we will we'll recover from that going. I can hear a little feedback somewhere. So based on what we've just discussed, if you can mute your phones or your computers, tablets, whatever you're using until it's your turn to speak, that should help a little bit. So we'll go through things pretty formally tonight. I know for me at least, I cannot see but just a couple of people on my screen at one time. So, and we have people that are all calling in on the phone. So, so please, you know, when we go through and call your name, unmute at that point, and then you can speak. What we will do in each case is we'll call all the names of everyone who is present. And then if you have no questions or comments on the item in front of us, please say pass, so we know that you will move on to the next commenter, the next board member. And then when you're finished making your comments or asking your questions, if you'll just indicate that you are finished, and that way we can move on again. We will do our best to follow the sequence that Bart has sent to us. I'll do my best to go down that list. And if I stumble on that along the way, Bart, just let me know and we'll back up and do whatever we need to do.
Okay. Sounds
So
good.
does that sound like the sort of the housekeeping stuff there that we needed to cover?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. As he said, all the votes will be roll call votes, and we'll call your name throughout for questions, comments. So the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the February 25th, 2020 meeting. I think it might say 2019 on your agenda, but it is the 2020 meeting that we're approving.
What you doing?
So we didn't have a meeting in March. Obviously, circumstances prevented that. So I think at this point, I will go through of everyone that is present and give you an opportunity to ask questions or make comments on the meetings or minutes, and then we'll go back for a vote. So first, I've got Brittany. Any questions, comments on the minutes?
None for me.
Okay. Kayvon?
Oh, did he really?
None for me. All good.
That's good, though.
Okay. Jeannie?
Pass. Let it grow
Okay.
out. No, I have none.
Okay. Alderman Pinchuk?
I have none.
Cindy?
I wasn't present, so no, I have none.
Okay. David?
I have none.
Okay. Lily?
I have none.
Okay. No comments, questions on the minutes. So at this point, I think, Bart, we're time for the roll call vote. Is that correct?
Sure. Okay, so this is a vote on approving the minutes, and I'll just go alphabetically. And I think Mr. Armstrong may have joined the meeting. So, Mr. Armstrong. Maybe not. Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Hollyfield?
Oh,
Mr. Canarsie?
I don't know.
Approved.
Well, it got cold
Okay.
again.
Mr. Lehman?
Vacations.
I will abstain since I was not present.
Okay. Ms. Moore?
Approve.
Mr. Pinchot?
Yes.
And Ms. Stowe?
Yes.
Okay, so the minutes are approved.
Okay. With the approval of the minutes, we'll move down on the agenda to the ground mounted sign app. You want to go ahead and mute everybody if you don't mind to mute.
Yeah.
We'd like to not got it back down.
Who was talking?
Yeah, somebody's still talking. Can you, everyone make sure they mute when they're not talking? Okay.
Let me,
I'm here. Sorry for being late.
Marty,
Okay.
Marty.
Yes, Jeannie.
Yeah. I have an issue. I'm on an iPad, and when I mute, it just does all kinds of funky things. And it even takes me out of it sometimes. So I'm not sure that's going to work for me all the time.
Okay.
But I'll try.
All right. As long as you have a quiet background, we should be okay. All right. So we're going to move on.
There's someone that's talking and laughing. Does everybody else hear that?
Yeah, if it's gone now. So
Okay. All right. So we're going to move on down to the ground mounted sign applications. The first item on the agenda is the Pure Bar A tenant panel at 105 South Campbell Station Road. It's the Farragut Gateway development. And so we'll follow again the sequence, and I've introduced the item. Staff will now provide their recommendations, and then we'll go through each board member by name, which is the next sequence question for comments and questions. So be prepared for that as soon as we're finished with staff comments.
okay, this is a tenant panel request for the Pure Bar development. That's they're in the Farragut Gateway development with the Starbucks Center. This is for the northernmost sign that's up along Kingston Pike, and it's the larger of the two signs. They've submitted two options in terms of coloration of the sign. One is red, which you see here, and then the second option is in black that you can see here. Originally, they had a much thinner font, and the red really got washed out, but they thickened the font for both the red and the black. They would prefer the red option, but they're willing to accept the black if that's what's approved by the board. Staff feels the black is a little bit more effective and would prefer that, particularly on the smaller sign, which is the next item on the agenda. But it's really up to the board as to whether you want to go with the red or the black option. And I can toggle back if you want to compare them. Or I think I sent out clearer images to everyone. I think yesterday, just that they could hopefully help you compare the red and the black option. So that's staff's standpoint on it. We would prefer the black, but the red in the thicker font does is easier to see, at least on the larger sign. The smaller signs it not quite as good.
All right.
Okay.
So with staff comments, again, we'll go through the sequence here. I'm going to ask each board member individually if you have any questions or comments for staff. If none, just indicate that you passed. And when you're finished with questions or comments, please indicate so, and we'll move forward. So I don't think I have all of my names written down alphabetically, so we'll start with Ms. Moore. Do you have any comments or questions?
Yes, I just have two questions. Is the wall-mounted sign approved, and if so, what color is it? And the second question is, does the builder have any guidelines on the sign color since the dentistry office is blue and the Starbucks is green? Do they want darker colors, or is there any kind of guidelines that they wanted around that initially?
Okay. The sign, there are standards for the wall signs, and those were put together by the by the owner and staff in concert. And so the lettering on those have to be white lettering up on the board with backlit, and so that's what they're going with there. Or white, yeah, with backlit, basically to match all the other signs that are on the building. But there were no standards placed on the coloration on the tenant house.
Okay. So my only other comment on that right now is, thank you for that, Bart, is that personally, I think that the black is more visible, the darker color. I'm sure there's a reason that they chose the red coloring that they chose. I would be okay with color just because it's consistent with the other color on the sign. However, for visibility, looking at the one further back, I think that the black is more visible to someone driving through with lots of traffic in that area, especially on the smaller sign like Bart said. So that's all the comments I have, Marty.
Okay, thank you. Next, I have in my list, Mr. Armstrong, questions or comments? Are you still with us?
Yeah, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, we couldn't hear you.
Apologies for being late. Picked up the wrong link. I'm going to say their logo is red nationally, so I feel like if we're going to let Starbucks be green, we have to let Pure Bar be red. That's the only comment I have.
All right, thank you. Mr. Commercy, do you have comments or questions?
Agree with Mr. Armstrong. Logo being red, it should remain red. The larger font is visible, but not as well as the black. However, it is their logo.
All right.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Ms. Stowe, do you have comments?
Okay. When I looked at this yesterday, my first thought was the red, because the red seems to bring the whole sign out to me more. And I just feel like it looks better and it kind of lightens up the whole thing. So I'm for the red, and it is their logo. So I would vote for the red over the black.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Pinchot?
I have no problems with the red. I do have a question about the lettering. I guess we had asked them to make the letters wider, from what I understand. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. When you look at the sign, I think the one that stands out the best and most is the Starbucks coffee sign. And I think those letters are even thicker and a little spread apart. The Pure Bar, it just seems to, the letters seem to be running together. If they want it to stand out, I'm fine with the red, but I still think that they should try to either put the letters bigger or spread them out and make it a little clearer, easier to read. That's all I got.
All right. Ms. Holyfield?
Bart, would you mind putting the red sign back up, please?
Sure, no problem. Can you see it?
Yes, I can. I agree with, I like the red, but I also agree it does need to be spread out a little more. They have the opportunity or options to do that, to really make it pop. I have no problem with the red. If they change and make it a little wider, the lettering, and that's all I have.
All right, Mr. Freeman.
I like the red, and I don't have any other comments.
Okay. Ms. Scott, do you have any comments or questions?
I have no comment.
All right. So that's everyone, but I guess for me, and I think I will agree that I'm okay with the red. I would also agree that the lettering could be spread out a little bit more. Even Lily Nelbar and the others have done that, and I think it's a lot more legible to do it that way.
Okay, we can pass that on to them, or you can make it as part of your motion.
Okay, so the next in the sequence of events, the next thing to do is a motion. I guess at this point, if you want to make the motion or the second, you will need to unmute and say that. I don't think there's a reason to try to go through each person, is there, Bart? So I will just open it up for someone to make a motion on this sign. We'll see how it works this go around.
Okay.
I'll make the motion that we approve the sign in the red color with the option of separating the letters a little more and making them wider.
All right, so we have that motion. Do we have a second to that
This is
motion?
Alderman Pinchuk. I second that.
All right, so we have a motion by Ms. Stowe and a second by Alderman Pinchuk. At this point, is the applicant present, or has the applicant any comments that staff knows about?
The applicants were given links to the meeting if they wanted to participate. These were fairly cut and dry applications, and there are plenty of times where there's no one at the meeting for a minor request like this. So I don't see anyone logged in as an applicant. They would be logged in with a link just like you all are. So I don't see anyone on here.
Okay.
Also, in terms of any citizen comments, just sort of jumping ahead to number 7 in the flow sequence there. We didn't receive any on this either.
All right. Then the next item would be, does any member, do we have any amendment, I guess, to the motion? If anyone does, please indicate. Otherwise, it's time to have a roll call vote. Staff will lead that.
Okay. Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Ms. Hollyfield?
Yes.
Mr. Kamarsi?
Yes.
Mr. Lehman?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Pinchuk?
Yes.
And Ms. Stowe?
Yes.
Okay. That passed unanimously.
All right, then we'll move down to the second ground-mounted sign application item, which is another pure bar tent panel, the one we've referenced already on the other side of the development, I guess the smaller one. And with that, I'll turn it over to staff for comments.
Okay, this is basically the same issue. It's on the southernmost sign that fronts on South Campbell Station Road. It's the smaller of the two tenant panels. Again, really the decision the board has to make is between the red and the black, although I'm with you all going with the red on the front. It would probably be more appropriate to be consistent. But that's again up to y'all. And perhaps they could spread these letters a little bit more, to make the sign a little bit more legible on the red versus the black on the smaller sign. And here's here's the black option versus the red option.
All right. Was that all your comments?
Yep, that's it.
All right. Obviously makes sense to make them the same to me, but we'll go through again. Every member have their opportunity for questions or comments of the staff. I'm going to go a little different order to give everybody an opportunity. So we'll start with Ms. Stowe. Do you have any questions, comments?
Yes. Is the Starbucks on that smaller sign, is it green?
Yes, I believe it is.
It is in the green?
Yes, ma'am, I think so.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, if it looked like they were all black, and if they were, I would have gone for black. But if Starbucks is on that small sign, the red really sticks out a lot. But if Starbucks is green, then I think I'd want that one to be red.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. All right, Mr. Freeman.
I have no comment.
Okay. Alderman Pinchot.
I have no comments.
All right. Mr. Camarsi.
The only thing that I'm thinking of is the traffic flow against that smaller sign. The red would be fine because it will match the larger sign. However, is there a possibility that we could suggest a black border in order to, given what we approved for the larger sign, the larger, little bit larger letters spread it out, if there was a possibility for it to have a minor black outline where it would draw the eye, because most of those, I know how fast folks travel down Campbell Station, might be able to pull the eye a little bit better. Just a thought.
Okay. Ms. Hollyfield.
The problem with that, would it not change their logo if you added that black? I like the idea, but would that not change really their logo, is my comment. Other than that, I have none. Pardon?
Pardon for a break-in, Chairman. We're retaining the color of the logo. Putting the outline just increases the visibility. Would be the way that I would present it. Not changing their logo, but
Okay.
Again, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Armstrong.
I'll only add that, and I like Kevin's comment as well, but I will say that this is not the logo. I think this is a type font that the sign company may have used. The original logo is very thin, and it's got a circle P, I think, next to it. So I'm good with it as is. And if they want to change the letter forms to match the other sign, I think that's smart. That's all I have.
All right. Ms. Scott, do you have any comments?
I have no comment.
And Ms. Moore.
I would just say, I think having it match the other side, so even maybe suggesting that the letters are spread apart like we did on the other sign, could add that effect of making it, more legible. So I do like the consistency, if it's red on one side, to have it red on the other.
All right. I think we made it through everyone for questions and comments. So at this point, we're ready for a motion. So do we have a motion from a member?
I'll make a motion. This is Alderman Pinchot to approve the red coloring with the same lettering and same spreading out of the letters as we discussed in the previous motion.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Cindy, I'm sorry, Cindy. I second. Ms. Hollyfield.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Pinchot. And then we have a second by Ms. Hollyfield. Based on what we said earlier, it appears that we do not have the applicant present. So, and unless you have any citizen comments, then I guess.
No, sir, there are no comments on this one either.
Okay. Are there any amendments to the motion? Hearing none, if staff would record the roll call vote.
Okay, Mr. Armstrong,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Hollyfield, Mr. Camarsi,
Yes.
Mr. Lehman,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Pinchot,
Yes.
and Ms. Stowe.
Yes.
Okay, that one passed as well.
Okay. So moving down the agenda, we're at the landscape plan applications. This is Smart Bank at 11216 Kingston Pike. I believe that's right there in the old Kroger Shopping Center. With that, comments.
Okay, this is a landscaping plan for the Smart Bank. They're renovating that bank. They're making some changes to the parking lot area and the drive-through area. They're also changing and adding to the landscaping around the site. The site plan for this project has already been reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission. So, the layout's already approved. It's just a matter of the landscaping running through on this board now. In the packet that I sent out, staff had 2 comments. The applicants have addressed both of those comments. So we can recommend approval of this. And the way they addressed the first comment is they added some midget arborvitae to the Riverstone Island at the southern edge of the site. So so right in here, they've added a midget arborvitae to that area, and to add some actual vegetative component to the landscaping in that section of the plan. So with that, staff can recommend approval of the plan with the 2 changes that the applicants made.
Okay. So with that, we'll again go through each member and allow for comments or questions. We'll start with Mr. Freeman.
I have another question.
Okay. Mr. Armstrong.
I'll pass.
All right. Alderman Pinchot.
I may have missed something, but I thought you said there were 2 questions, but you only covered 1. What was the other question?
Oh, yes, sir. The staff had asked them to modify note number 11 to just make it clear that any substitution of plant species had to be approved by the town staff in addition to the owner, and that's just something that we typically require. So they made the correction to that note. It doesn't show on this plan, but it shows on the revised plan they submitted.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
All right, Ms. Scott. Ms. Scott, did you have any comments?
I have no comment.
All right, Ms. Moore.
No comments.
Ms. Hollyfield.
No comment.
Mr. Camarsi.
No comment.
And Ms. Stowe.
Pass.
All right, with that, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve as is.
We have a motion. Do we have a second to the motion?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second to the motion? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have All right, we have a motion from Ms. Stowe. And we have a motion from Ms. Hollyfield and a second from Ms. Stowe. I got you reversed there for a second. Is the applicant present for this item?
I don't believe so. But,
All right, any citizen comments?
I had none submitted for this.
All right, any amendments to the motion? With that, if staff would take care of a roll call vote.
Okay, Mr. Armstrong,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Hollyfield,
Yes.
Ms. Komarski, or Mr. Komarski, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
It's
Mr.
okay, yes.
Lehman. Okay, yeah. Mr. Lehman,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Pinchok,
Yes.
and Ms. Stowe.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passed.
Okay, so that's the last item on the agenda. Does staff have anything else we need to cover or know about this evening?
No, sir.
Well, guys, I want to thank everyone very much for our first time doing a virtual board meeting. I think we pulled it off pretty well. Pretty well took care of everything with minor issues. So, you know, this may be a thing of the future.
Yeah. Save on gas.
That's true. That's true. Okay, if there's nothing else, then we will adjourn this month's meeting.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you, Marty. See you,
Thank
guys.
you for everybody that helped.
Y'all take care.